Hello, and welcome to today's Aligned Modern Health Digital Doc webinar. Today is actually the last Digital Doc webinar for the calendar year, and we are so happy that you are joining us either live or via the recording. We are joined today by Dr. Ron Bouffard from the Functional Medicine team of Aligned Modern Health to showcase a wonderful and cozy holiday recipe. This recipe will be great for entertaining, for bringing to holiday festivities, or simply enjoying at home on a cozy winter night. Before we turn things over to Dr. Bouffard, we just like to give a brief introduction to Aligned Modern Health in case it's the first time joining us at a Digital Doc webinar. Aligned Modern Health is Chicagoland's top-rated health and wellness service provider in the alternative medicine space. Alternative medicine simply means no drugs, no surgery. We really aim to get to the root cause of why our patients are what we're feeling or what they're feeling, and not just focusing on one siloed symptom or condition. We have 18 clinics around the greater Chicagoland area, as well as services available via telemedicine in several U.S. states. Our in-clinic locations are supported by several different practices, including physical medicine, which includes chiropractic care, injury prevention and injury rehabilitation, athletic performance support, and clinical massage therapy. Our in-clinic locations are also supported by an acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine practice. This can be really amazing to benefit physical pain, both acute and chronic, as well as some intangibles like stress, anxiety, and depression, sleeplessness and insomnia, neurological and gastrointestinal concerns, men's and women's health and hormone balancing. We have a nationally recognized fertility support program. This practice also provides support through a few other modalities under the traditional Chinese medicine umbrella, like customized herbal medicine, cupping, gua sha, and moxibustion. We round out our services both in clinic and available online via telemedicine in several U.S. states with our functional medicine and clinical nutrition team. This is the practice that Dr. Bouffard joins us from today. We like to say the functional medicine practice is a great way to do a deep dive internally to better understand why you feel what you feel externally. We support a variety of gastrointestinal conditions, autoimmune disorders, bloating, constipation, fatigue, migraines, men's and women's health, and hormone balancing. We offer hormone replacement therapy. We test for food sensitivities and a whole host of diagnostic testing to help you understand why you're feeling what you're feeling truly comprehensively and also very customized. We also offer a clinical nutrition practice in support of this program, as we know that anytime there are dietary and lifestyle changes, it's really hard to navigate on your own. And so we have a support team here to be with you the whole way. Aligned Modern Health is in network with most major insurance providers, and we are happy to offer a complimentary benefits check if that is something that you'd like to learn more about. We also offer free 15-minute consultations in all of these different practices in case you'd like to speak with a provider one-on-one in a completely private and customized setting where you can get some answers to your questions through the undivided attention of one of our providers. Questions are very welcome at Aligned Modern Health in general, but also on today's webinar. If you have any questions for Dr. Bouffard specifically about today's recipe demonstration, you are very welcome to enter them into the Q&A feature of Zoom, and we will take questions at the end of the presentation. All of that said, it is now my pleasure to turn things over to Dr. Ron Bouffard.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Janine said, I'm Dr. Ron Bouffard. I am the functional medicine provider at Logan Square, River North, and Wicker Park. Plus, I also have a large capacity online, so I can be met at many different in-city locations as well as online. As you can see here from my bio, I have been in practice for 30 years as a chiropractor. I started my practice in Maine. I moved here to Chicago 5 years ago to join Aligned Modern Health. In the course of starting my chiropractic practice in Maine to getting here, I went and got my diplomate as a functional medicine provider. And then decided I needed to learn more about nutrition and got a diplomate in nutrition, which just means that I took 300-hour course I completed 300 hours of coursework, did a national board, and then have to complete, or every 2 years, have to recertify my certification essentially. So today we're going to talk about a salad that I really like. When proposed to have something for, the holidays, I love to entertain and I love to cook Thanksgiving. I definitely, go all out. One thing I want to stress is that because we want to be special about everything, we don't always have to be you don't have to go the Julia Childs route, is what it really comes down to. So I like to add a little panache to some of the recipes or the traditional things that you might have. For instance, when I make peas for my dinner, I usually add pearl onions and a little bit of heavy cream. When I make carrots for my dinner, I usually add some tarragon and maybe a sweetness like either honey or maple syrup. We just want to add just a little something to make it extra special, but not to make it so that it's a lot more work. Today's pear salad is another way of just taking a plain old salad and sort of bringing it up to a different level. As you can see here, the salad ingredients are not all that difficult. We've got to have some walnuts that I'm going to warm up for us to kind of help bring out some of the oils. We've got 2 to 3 pears that I'm going to add, warm those up and caramelize them with the lemon juice and honey and butter. And then we're just going to really kind of put them over a bed of arugula, and I'm actually going to use spinach as well, and then add some blue cheese to have a nice little sort of savory and sweet kind of effect. By the way, this recipe will be available to all of you who have joined, and anybody who is watching this on video. You'll be able to see this for a long enough time to be able to write this all down, and then I'm going to prepare it for you today. And as I'm preparing, you can either take notes or you'll be able to get this particular page off of the video when you get it. All right, without further ado, why don't we start? So here in my house, I use cast iron for almost everything. I like using cast iron for cooking, braising, frying, simply because cast iron imparts micro shards of sort of iron within your food to actually help impart iron into your diet. So if you're somebody who doesn't do a lot of iron-rich foods or somebody who is iron deficient, a cast iron pan is a really great way to add nutrients to your food without having to, go all out and get a whole bunch of things that are just too much iron. Now, I really want to put this up on high, and it's a dry pan because I'm going to just toast the walnuts first. And you don't have to use walnuts. It can be pecans. It can be any kind of nut that you want. Really, I just happen to like walnuts with pears. This time of year, it's kind of the seasonal idea. Now, these walnuts are all, fairly decent size. What we don't want is to have to go into a salad and then have this huge walnut. So I'm just taking my knife and kind of chopping it in smaller bits. And I'll do it in one direction to get most of them cut sort of in half at least, or thirds, depending on the size of that particular walnut. And then I'll just turn my knife the opposite direction till I get smaller little chunks. And then once I've put my knife through it, I now have, nicely chopped up little pieces. And I'm just going to put my hand over the pan to see how warm it is. It seems like it's pretty warm. So I'm going to go ahead and at least put these walnuts in the pan. Again, dry, no oil. There's oil in the walnuts, and it will start to extract as the heat hits it and give us a nice nuttier flavor when we toast it. That's the nice thing about nuts, is that when you toast them, you're kind of extracting a little bit more flavor. Now, keep in mind that walnuts are really good in omega-3s, as well as alpha-lipoic acid, really good cardiovascular, good for just about anything, really. It's a great anti-inflammatory, but I just love the flavor, the crunch, specifically for this salad. So while these are toasting, and I'm going to toast these for about 3 to 4 minutes, so I've got to pay attention. I don't want to burn them. I've got my pears. Pears are in season this time of year, so take advantage of produce that's in season. Now, if you want to use apples, you could. You could use any kind of real sort of tree fruit if you are so inclined. This was, a recipe for pear. So I'm cutting the stems off and then cutting them in half because I'm going to core them and then slice them. So I have now cut them in half, and I'm just going to take a little paring knife, and I'm going to take the tip of the paring knife into the flesh around the core, and then just pop it out. So I've popped out the core, and now I have a nice little hollowed out pear. I'm going to do this for all 4 of them. And I love these particular pears. I've used Asian pears recently. I did this for a dinner, and I bought some Asian pears from the lovely lady Oriana from Logan Squares Farmers Market. She has an amazing array of Asian pears, and it was just delicious because they're much sweeter than these Bartlett's that I have. But you can use any kind of pear, by the way, Bartlett, Bosch, whatever. They're all good. So now that I've cored them, I'm actually going to put them cut side down. I'm going to cut them into roughly 6 sort of slices, just kind of coming through them. 2, 3, 4, 6 slices. So it means I'm going to do 5 cuts. And then I'm going to put them in my little bowl over here. And I'm starting to smell the walnut. So I'm just going to make sure that I kind of roll them around a little bit, making sure that they're not burning. I can actually hear them. I hear them like a little sizzle going on. So by the time I get done cutting all these, they'll be ready to be pulled out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they're all roughly about the same thickness, about 1/4 of an inch thick in a fairly good slice. And it will make for a nice presentation. Now, because they will brown very quickly, this is where we need to put this little marinade on. We're going to use 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. I use organic lemon juice. You can get this from Costco. Or organic lemon juice concentrate from Italy. It's really the best buy when you get it from Costco. 2 tablespoons, I'm putting them in this little small measuring cup, along with the sweetener. Now, I'm actually using, oh, I want to take a look again. I see some smoldering smoke coming off of my walnuts, which is a good indicator, like, okay, they seem like they're toasted. I can really smell them now. I'm going to take these off. Otherwise, they will burn, and then they're going to really taste terrible. So let me just kind of move things over. Keep in mind when you're using cast iron, as soon as you heat it up, everything in it is heated, even the handle. So you need to make sure that you've got a good pot holder. And I am just putting these toasted walnuts into a little ramekin so that they're off the heat and they'll stop cooking. The pan back on the heat and show you that this is sort of what the toasted walnuts now look like. You can see there's a little bit of a darker edge to them. Some of them are darker brown, and they smell nutty and certainly warm. Okay, as I was saying, I prefer maple syrup versus honey. I'm from Maine, so for me, this is a sort of a winter type of flavor for me. So 2 tablespoons, and this is a dark amber that I actually got from Maine when I was there last. Super nutty flavor as well. And I put the lemon juice and the maple syrup together. I'm going to stir it up so that it's going to sort of thin out the maple syrup. And then I want to pour it over my pears. Oh, I've had this pan on high and it's smoking now, and I'm going to cook these pears on medium. So I'm turning the flame down. I'm not actually going to put anything right away into this. Ultimately, I'm going to put some organic grass-fed butter, but I do want to make sure that now that I put the maple syrup and the lemon juice together, but I'm going to coat all of those so that we don't get that browning oxidation like you get from fruit when you slice it. That's one of the reasons adding the citrus, but you also want to have a little bit of an acidic back to this. You'll find that when you add the acid and the sweetness together, it really pairs up very nicely. No pun intended. Okay, so now I got the pears sort of in this marination. How we're going to start with the cooking is 2 tablespoons organic grass-fed butter. Kerrygold is one of my favorite. You can also get that at Costco. It's a simple omega-3. Grass-fed means omega-3 versus conventional grown, which would be omega-6. And omega-6s, of course, are inflammatory, so they cause a lot of irritation to blood vessel linings and can be the cause of increased cholesterol. When you're using grass-fed butter, you're not going to have that. I'm guessing you can hear the sizzle and see. I want this butter. It's almost going to start to brown, which is fine. Again, the cast iron is hot, but now my flame is low, so it will sort of start to dispel some of that heat. And these pears are ready to kind of get put in. And I'm literally just going to pour them in. And you hear that nice kind of sizzle going on. I'm going to spread out the pears so that they are not all clumped in the middle, but sort of exposed to the cast iron. And we want to cook this for about 4 to 5 minutes. And right away, I get the hit of the acid from the lemon juice when I put it in the pan. And you'll see, because of the butter and the sugar together, a little bit of like a bubbling kind of, you can see that there's a thickness and a caramelization already starting. That's really what we want. So we're just going to keep this cook going. Now, this is a good time for us to add just a little bit of salt and pepper. Salt is just going to enhance some of the flavors that we've got in here. And then because we're putting this pear on a salad, I actually want it to be more savory than sweet. I'm adding some pepper because I like pepper. All right, so as that's cooking, we know what we're looking for is, again, that sort of thickening, congealing. That's what we want. Okay, so we have some blue cheese here that I got from the farmer's market before it closed. And you can use any kind of cheese. You don't have to use blue. I just happen to like blue. It's got a really nice tang to it. I like blue cheese. I like the smell of it. If you don't like it, it can be goat cheese. Goat cheese is a little less inflammatory for people. If you have a cow dairy allergy or what have you, most people are not reactive to goat. Goat milk is the closest to our milk production. So most people who are sensitive to cow dairy may not be sensitive. And that's not everybody, but just so that you're aware, if you want to do a different cheese or no cheese at all, but you can do cheddar, you can do any kind of cheese you want. I just like the creaminess, and then the brine from this blue cheese will actually be very nice. But I've got some pretty decent chunks, so I want to make sure that I sort of break them up into smaller pieces so that I can, again, kind of put them on the salad. And what I'm going to do when I put the salad together, I'll put the cheese on first, and then I'll throw these pears that are warm over it, and the warmth from the pears will really break it all down. And I have a lot of blue cheese, so I'm probably only going to do half of what I've got here. And like I said, feel free to use whatever kind of cheese that you particularly like. Now, when it comes to warm salads like this, you have to be a little careful because if the product that you're putting on the salad is too warm, it'll actually kind of wilt the salad. And if you didn't want to, if you're taking this with you, what I might recommend is putting it all together, and then at wherever you're taking this, just do this part while you're there. Cooking it so that it's actually going to get this nice golden color to it is great. And then put it aside in a bowl for maybe about 5 minutes so that it cools down, so that it isn't going to cause the wilting of the lettuces. Let me wash my hands because I've got blue cheese all over it. And let me show you what I like to do. while this is still cooking. I'm going to take a platter in this case and actually put the lettuces. Now, I told you this recipe called for arugula. I will put some arugula, but I actually really like baby spinach a lot. It's got a great amount of iron, lots of vitamin C, magnesium, boron, lots of really great nutrients. So a nice big handful, just place it on the platter. Of course, for me, it's got to be organic. And then here's that baby arugula. Arugula is a kind of a spicy lettuce. It will definitely taste like a little peppery. So if you're not liking that taste, you can use any other lettuce that you like. It doesn't really need to be, it could be kale. Kale is a lot more sturdy. So if you're concerned about the wilting aspect, you could also just put kale as the base. I personally don't like kale. To me, it's a little too stiff, a little too chewy. I don't really like my lettuce to be all that chewy. Baby kale is a little more amenable to me. So again, it's totally up to you as to what you really want to put on this particular salad, whatever you really like. It could be spring mix if you like, radicchio if you like. There's all sorts of different flavors that you could certainly do this with. Here's the arugula, and again, it's a very different looking green on top of the fact that it has a very different flavor, sort of peppery. So again, I'm just going to use a big handful. Now, I use 2 pears because it's really only going to be for about 3 to 4 people, this particular salad. If you have a larger group of people, 3 or 4 pears would probably be better so that you can have a fairly large. So as you can see, this is a pretty good sized salad for 3 or 4 people. As we're waiting for these pears to get done, I'm actually going to just take these walnuts and I'm going to sprinkle them over the top, and I'm going to leave a little for the end. And then, like I said, I'm going to put the blue cheese on first. And then as I put the blue cheese on, I'm actually sort of also crumbling it up a little bit more. So again, we don't have these big chunks. It smells really good. And these pears are looking like they're almost done. And again, blue cheese. If you don't like it, use something different. Okay. Now, I want to show you that there's a little bit of, you can see how the maple syrup now is bubbling, and as I kind of move the pan to the side, it's a little bit slower in its action as it's moving back and forth. It's not as liquid as it was. That's the caramelization. So we know we're getting there with it. And I'm just going to turn these over one more time, make sure that they're all coated and softened. We want to have a little bit of texture left of the pear, so we don't want it to be completely, disintegrated. We want to be able to bite into it and certainly taste it. So I've got the arugula, I've got the walnuts, I've got the blue cheese. I'm going to take this right off the burner, and I'm going to pour this. I'm going to take a little bit of the pears. You can see they're, if I do this, you can see they're kind of a little limp now. They're still sturdy and rugged, but they have a little bit of softness to them. And that's what we want. We want to be able to have a little bit of a texture. And I'm just draping them, a little bit more artistically instead of just throwing them on. Another good thing about cast iron is it's a good workout. They're heavy, so you definitely feel it when you're using a cast iron pan. Most people are worried about cast iron pans because, I just don't like it because can't clean it very well. The key with the cast iron pan is it doesn't really like water because it's iron. and iron and water will oxidize. So I always make sure that right when I get done cooking, I actually run it underwater quickly so that the pan is still hot. Oh, I've got a little bit of that juice left over. This is the dressing I'm going to use for this particular salad. So I have to put the pan down because it's hot, and I'm starting to feel it hot, and it's also heavy. So one more time, and I'm just going to pour the remaining butter, maple syrup, lemon juice concoction right over everything. Now it's at this point I'm actually going to go to my sink with my cast iron pan, turn my water on, and run it over it while the pan is still hot. Rinse it. I know you can't see me, but you can hear me. And then I'm gonna leave it on my stove because it's hot. It's gonna evaporate that water, and then I'm gonna wipe it down. I have this rag that I use that's got flaxseed oil on it that I use as my way of re-seasoning. This pan has been seasoned for me for a long time, so that's what also makes it non-stick. The longer that if you use soap and you use water with this, it will tarnish, and then you're gonna have to keep re-seasoning it. Okay, so here's the salad. I just wanna take a bite of it. So I'm gonna get a little bit of this arugula, get some blue cheese. Oh, the last of the walnuts I can put over the top. Get the walnuts in here and a big old hunk of pear and oh, these pears really, really sweet. The blue cheese has a little bit of that tart, but creaminess, a texture to it. And then, of course, the peppery flavor of the arugula, and then the sturdiness. I'm going to have another piece. The sturdiness of the spinach itself is just fantastic. I think it's going to make a really nice addition. And again, instead of just saving a basic old salad, try something a little different, something that's nice and hot, flavorful, and really nutritious for you. Lots of omegas in here. Really good for cardioprotective instances. I think it's lovely. Perfect. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Dr. Buffard, for all that you have shared with us today, including this wonderful recipe. Just as a recap, we did share this slide in the beginning of the video. We want to share it one more time now. Again, it will be a part of your recording as well. Dr. Buffard gave some great options and alternatives to some of the ingredients list. The honey can be replaced with maple syrup if you prefer. The arugula can be used on its own, combined with spinach or any other dark leafy greens that you like. The blue cheese can be substituted for goat cheese or another winter creamy cheese of your preference. Again, this recipe will be shared as part of the recording as well. This brings us to the end of this particular digital doc, as well as the end of our digital doc series for 2024. Again, as a reminder, this was the last webinar for the 2024 calendar year, but we do hope to be back in the new year with more wonderful wellness topics for you to learn from. If you do have any questions, you are welcome to put them into the Q&A feature now. If you have any questions about Aligned Modern Health in general, our services, our complimentary benefits check for insurance verification, or that free 15-minute consultation that we mentioned at the beginning of the call, you can certainly contact us anytime at 773-692-6700, or you can visit us online at alignedmodernhealth.com. We really appreciate everybody joining us today. Thank you for all of the kind words in the comments and in the questions. We really are glad that you think this looks delicious and that it sounds like a wonderful holiday recipe. That does bring us to time for today. Thank you for joining us. We hope you have a happy and healthy holiday season. Cheers.